Hey guys, section 1.1 notes. We are solving simple equations. This should be review from last year. Basically what the addition and subtraction property of equality are stating is that if you're going to add something to one side of an equation, you have to do it to both to keep equivalent equations. You can't just do something to one side of the room, give one side of the room homework and not the other. That's not fair. So have to do everything equally and fairly. So some of your previous teachers may have, looking at these examples, may have had you draw a line down your equal sign. If that helps you, by all means do it. So when we're solving this equation, we have x minus 7 equals negative 6. So we're going to use inverse operations. So since this says when we're always trying to isolate the variable, solve for the variable, which is the letter. Since it says x minus 7, the inverse operation is going to be to add 7. So you add 7 to both sides. A negative 7 and a positive 7, or a minus 7 and a plus 7 are opposites. They make 0. We cancel those out. We bring the x down. We bring the equal sign down. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1. And if you can't do negative 6 plus 7 on your own, I would suggest you practice your integer rules, but you can always use your calculator. Oh no, we have decimals in problem B. That's okay. We're still using inverse operations. So we see plus 3.4 on this same side of the equation with the y. Again, if you want to do this, go for it. If you don't need that, that's fine too. How do you get rid of, or what's the opposite of plus 3.4? We're going to subtract 3.4 from both sides. This side, they are opposites. Before you cancel them out, ensure that they really are opposites. Adding 3.4 and subtracting 3.4 are opposites, or positive 3.4 and negative 3.4 make 0. Bring down the y, bring down your equal sign. 0 minus 3.4, of course, would be negative, and 3.4. And again, if you need your calculator, use it. Sweet thing about algebra is you can always plug your answer back in up here for y. Negative 3.4 plus 3.4 does equal 0. So you're like, check, woohoo, I'm right. Give yourself a smiley face. You're awesome. All right. Pay attention to what your teacher says as far as doing your on your owns. So I see a plus here. What are you going to do? Correct. You're going to do subtract or minus 2 on each side. Oh no, the K's over on the right. No big deal. Find your variable and do the inverse operation of what's beside the variable. Plus 3. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and write it down for you. You're going to subtract 3 on both sides. Be careful when you do this math. That is not 0. Oh no, this one looks crazy. R minus pi equals pi. You're like, there are no numbers in here. Think about it. You guys know what pi is as a number. Yep, 3.14. So instead of changing this to 3.14, so think of this as r minus 3.14, we're going to do plus pi and plus pi over there. A minus pi and a positive pi, or minus and plus, positive and negative, cancel. We have r equals, we have a pi, and then we have another pi. Altogether, how many pies is that? 2 pi. So that one's finished for you. Fractions. Don't freak out. Opposite of minus 1/4, you're going to do plus. Use your calculator if you need to. Same with decimals. This is 5.6 plus z. Always look in front. That's a positive 5.6. You're going to be subtracting from both sides. And I know I helped you with your on your own. Don't tell your math teacher. All right, go down to the next, flip to the next page, please. And on the next page, we are going to basically review one steps again, but with multiplying and dividing. Excuse me. So same thing, properties of equality. If you multiply one side, you need to multiply the other. If you divide on one side, you need to divide on the other. So looking at these examples, we've got negative 3, 4, and n. When they are squished together, that implies multiplication. So what is the opposite of multiplying n by negative 3.4? You're going to divide that by negative 3. I said 3.4, by negative 3/4. Divide this side by negative 3/4. Okay, fraction bar just purely means divide. So if you're using a calculator, you can just type this side in. If you're not using a calculator, remember that to divide by a fraction, you actually multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to make that into a fraction, and then you could do your math. Okay, but if you just plop this in your calculator, so we're multiplying by this, and now we're dividing it by it. So those are inverses. They cancel each other out, inverse operations. When we have -2 divided by -3/4, and if you're unsure how to put that in your calculator, we can help you. You are going to wind up with +8/3. Negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive, and that's going to be 8/3. And again, you can plug that in and check it. This one looks crazy. Pi times x equals 3 times pi. Well, we're trying to solve for x. X is the variable here, and it's being multiplied by pi. So I'm going to divide by pi. Divide by pi. And you're like, that seems crazy. Remember, pi is just a number. It's a symbol standing in the place for a number. So times pi and divided by pi cancel. You get x equals, this one has a times pi and divided by pi. Cancel. So actually, that one wound up being pretty simple. X equals 3. Okay, a little hint. Remember, pay attention to what your teacher says on your own. This one's being multiplied. You're going to divide. This one reminds me a lot of this problem up here, except the x is over here. So that one's going to be very similar. And in this one, remember, fraction bar simply means divide. So y divided by 4. How do you get rid of divided by 4? You're going to multiply both sides of that equation by 4. So that gives you a little hint on that. And then down here in example 3, we have identifying the solution of an equation. So which value of k makes the equation true? You could take your calculator and plug each of these numbers in until you find out which one makes it true. Try that. I mean, when it's multiple choice, that is really my suggestion to you, is to work that problem and see which one works. So start plugging them in. And luckily, in plugging these in, the first one you plug in works. Okay, order of operations, the 4 divided by 0.2 is going to come first, and that gives you 20. 20 plus what would be equal to only 5? Well, that tells you it has to be a negative number. So 20 plus -15 works. Plug that into your calculator right now. -15 plus 4 divided by 0.2. If you do not get 5, you're doing something wrong on your calculator, and we can help you with that. So that is it. Less than 8 minutes. Do them on your own if your teacher said so. If not, you may be doing them in class tomorrow. Good job, guys.